Hello, and today you will see again a face you first saw during our Basel coverage with Eleonor, and in this report she will walk us through a Geneva company specialized in gem setting. This company is called Salanitro and is definitely one of the biggest players in its field of business. But you have to understand that they are capable of much more than simply gem setting. It's a full range operation that can accompany its clients from product conception to the realization of cases and other manufacturing operations on top of the actual gem setting at the core of its activity. So let's now listen to Eleonor, who will explain us the full process with a rather eccentric timepiece.
Have you ever heard of Salanitro concept? Probably not. However, you must have seen some of his work without knowing it. The reason being that this independent company is specialized in the concept, the design and the setting of jewelry timepieces exclusively. Founded in Geneva in 1990 by Pierre Salanitro, the company employs about 160 manufacturing experts working in different domains segmented in his huge facility secured as if it was Fort Knox. As a matter of fact, no one has the keys of Salanitro concept. It's an external company that is in charge of the opening and closing of the facility, and that is for security reasons only, considering the amount of value stored inside. Salanitro Concepts happens to be the biggest and only company doing what they do, and to that extent. In less than 30 years, the man who started his career as a banker, Pierre Salanitro, has built a reputation in the industry amongst the majority of brands, teams and CEOs with sometimes such proximity and trust that some give him free rein on the development of a project. For obvious legal and confidentiality related reasons, we won't be able to disclose the names of the brand he works with, to the exception of Hublot, who agreed on letting us take one of their latest high jewelry creation as an example in order to explain the various stages in the development of a project. Unveiled a few weeks back, the Hublot Big Bang Tourbillon chronograph high jewelry is, yes, another version of their iconic Big Bang model, to the difference that this one is unique. Set with about 380 baguette cut diamonds that have been each hand cut in a different shape. When a client has a chance to try it or even just look at it, the first word that actually comes to mind is wow. Wow because it dazzles, wow because it's big, heavy and pricey, and wow just because it is. But what people tend to forget often, because they have no idea how things are made, and we can't really blame them for that, is that the wow should stand for the amount of R&D put into a piece, the amount of time and skills required to cut and set each diamond, and the amount of time needed to assemble all the parts together. It's one of the reasons why we're here today, showing how everything starts from a simple sketch on a piece of paper with a pencil on the corner of the table. So let's back up a little. If we start with stage 1, shortly after receiving the client's brief, Pierre and his team gather around a table to sketch ideas and start thinking about how the stones will interact on the dial, the case and the bezel. Once that big lines have been drawn, they can move on to modeling the sketch on a computer, and that can take a few days. Stage 2, we're moving on to the technical office where the construction takes place and allows extreme customization and precision in renderings. This enables 3D version of what the bejeweled timepiece will look like in a fragmented way. It's at this stage that they adjust with precision the cavities where the diamonds will later be placed, bearing in mind that the residual linings are thick enough to be 100% airtight and waterproof. In that case, some components will need to be adjusted nanomillimeters by nanomillimeters, with the need to stagger some micro areas in order that they proceed with the drilling, and it doesn't make any holes in the metal. Stage 3, that's when it gets interesting. Thanks to specific softwares, you can see a simulation on the computer screen of the drilling process before going in for real. On the crocobang, that's the little nickname that I gave to the piece, you can see holes like little buckets that need to be drilled into the metal in order to work as a recipient of the stone that will later be set. A few minutes after, we have now the baguette diamonds layout of the piece. In other words, thanks to this, Pierre and his team know how many diamonds do they need, but most importantly, what they should be in terms of size, width, length, and refractive index. Stage 4, the drilling and the machining. Once the metal base has been made to the correct dimensions, the base plate is being drilled under oil to ease the process. All of the spare parts individually undergo the same drilling process, piece by piece, as shown on the computer during the second stage. Hoping that you're actually following. Think about a wall on your house where you want to put a painting on. You start by drilling the holes where you'll put the nails before putting it up. It's pretty much the same thing to 1 or 2 details. On stage 5, it comes to the setting. Only when all the parts of the watch are ready, they go to the gem setting atelier. That part of the company is divided into labs due to the volume, confidentiality, and security. On one side, a team divides and categorizes the stones in little packets. On the other, you have the gem cutter who recuts the stone to the perfect dimension when and if needed. There are different gem setters and quality controllers. When it comes to setting a watch part, it can include a buckle, a bezel, a case, a dial, and/or the bracelet. There are 3 ways of setting it. 1, you can mechanically set stones with the help of a machinery, always good for large quantities. 2, you can set the traditional way with brilliant cut stones set by hand with a microscope. 3, last but not least, you can baguette set, and that's the longest, hardest, and most meticulous way of setting stones. As a matter of fact, at Salanitro Concept, there's a dedicated baguette setting atelier, and that's precisely where our crocobang is heading. Each of the 380 stones have been hand-cut to a different shape in order to resemble the scales of a crocodile skin. A big headache in terms of realization, according to Pierre. When that part is done, we're getting close to the end. Each piece needs to go into polishing, then cleaning. You basically put each part of the watch into a big dishwasher, then ultrasound buckets to get rid of all the grease and microdust accumulated since the beginning of the process. For your information, the cleaning process doesn't harm the metal or the stones whatsoever. It actually serves them right. Last but not least, the 7th stage concerns the control of the piece. It needs to be put under high and low pressure in order to check the waterproofability and air tightening of the parts just before the assembly. Otherwise, it means that something got messed up somewhere in the process, but that rarely happens when you know as meticulous and as thorough Pierre is. When that part is done, Pierre and his team can send the piece to the watch manufacturer for the final assembly and control. Then, ta-da, the work is done.
So you will see on a more regular basis Eleonor on the WatchesTV, because I definitely feel that a little feminine touch and her jewelry knowledge in particular will give us another view of some of these watchmaking crafts we might not have portrayed enough on this channel. So see you real soon. Thanks for watching. Thanks for our patrons. See you.